Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us here. I am Dipshila. I'm the Director of Research at OpenStax, and I'm joined here by my amazing teammates, Brittany and Irish. Wave for me. All right. So it is an absolute pleasure for me to talk to you all about Kinetic, but just to take a step back, there might be people who may not know about OpenStax. So just for an overview, we are a leading publisher of open educational resources. We have a growing library of over 55 textbooks. We serve over 6.5 million students, like for this year and the past year. And we have saved over $1.7 billion since we launched in 2012. So that puts us in a very unique position because we are at the intersection of EdTech, textbook publishing, and research. And really with this positioning, we are able to address 6 key needs for innovations in learning research. And from multiple, like speaking to our community and getting a sense of their requirements, we have identified these 6 needs that include large and diverse samples, multidimensional access to multidimensional data, access to learners in their authentic learning environments, need for experimental rigor and control, security and privacy protection, and integration of fairness, equity, accountability, and transparency within the system. So to meet these needs, we introduced OpenStax Kinetic. It's an experimental space and research infrastructure integrated with the OpenStax platform, where researchers can deploy a wide range of learning research studies at scale to real students in their authentic digital learning environments. So Kinetic is really being built in a very phased and agile manner over the next 5 years. And later versions of the platform will be able to accommodate progressively more sophisticated research tasks and study design. Over the past few years, we have honed in on 3 key questions in learning sciences, which is first, understanding who is the learner, because all learners are unique and they have rich histories and characteristics and experiences. Our second question is, what are they learning? Because it matters whether they are learning math or social sciences or other content. And third is, how are they learning? Because their learning context matters, whether they're learning online versus in person, what kind of instructional design strategies are in use, so on and so forth. So to address these questions, Kinetic will host a variety of learner characteristic measures, as well as experimental research that enable examination of student behavior while they're learning online. And effectively addressing these questions will really build a strong foundation for creating an optimally personalized learning experience to meet the needs of individual students where and when they need it. We are in the process of, we wrapped up our minimum viable product stage, and we are inching towards our alpha launch next week, in fact. And this would not be possible without a very strong team that contributed and worked day in, day out to make this a reality. So I just want to acknowledge all the team members who are currently working with us or who contributed to this effort in the past. All right, so we touched on Kinetic being for researchers and learners. So just want to dive in a little bit into the specifics. So researchers like you, we want you all to come and talk to us and see how we can make the platform accommodate your studies. One key thing that distinguishes us from Assessments, Terracotta, and some of the other platforms here is that we are focused on adult learners within the US. So we are very specific in that term. We want both formal and informal learners on the platform. We currently, like I said, we have a library of over 55 textbooks, and we have different kinds of learners who come and read our textbooks online. So we are leveraging that user base to help get the traffic and the participant pool for our research tasks. And obviously, none of this would be possible if we don't get recruitment at an institutional level. So we are currently also working to partner and set up research practice partnerships with different institutions so we can work with institutions and see how the platform can also serve needs at an institutional level. Okay. So here's how it works. I'm going to quickly run through this because I want to have like a minute or two to give a live demo. So we have students come in and read our textbooks online. So when they are reading their textbooks, they see a call to action and they opt in to explore Kinetic. When they get to Kinetic, we are working with researchers like Brittany and myself and others from the learning science community. We kind of started small and then we are increasing our researcher pool as we go. And they build out tasks on top of Qualtrics. So we are using Qualtrics to build out our research tasks. And we did this because we knew from all the collaborators and the community members that we had spoken to that Qualtrics was popularly used within the learning sciences and learning research community. So you build out your studies on Qualtrics, which essentially means you can make it's only limited by what Qualtrics can or cannot do at this time. So once your study is built out, you publish it to students on Kinetic. So when students come over to Kinetic, they see their dashboard with the activities that are available for them to participate in. The key is that we are expecting to get to a point where we have like large numbers of learners come and participate in these studies. And we are also creating an opportunity for researchers to not only, think of publishing their findings in peer-reviewed scientific journals, but also build a bridge so that they can communicate with our product teams so that any promising findings that they have, there is an opportunity to translate it into a product feature to be disseminated widely amongst the end user base. So we are creating that virtuous cycle there. Additionally, we are also working on making sure that our findings are communicated, not just within scientific publications, but also broadly to the masses with more mainstream channels like blog posts and webinars and podcasts and so on. So like those elements are still kind of work in progress. So here's where we are at now. We are in the process of wrapping up our MVP, where we just focused on implementing a library of individual differences measures and ABN testing, again, built all within Qualtrics. The individual differences measures library will be available to researchers who come and work on Kinetic. Essentially, there are a couple of benefits for doing that because then you have standardized measures of these characteristics. And also it cuts down time from your own task, like you don't have to add these elements to your study. You already have these data available to you. Obviously, we have, we can accommodate data mining, post hoc analysis research, but also these real-time experiments that are made available to students on Kinetic. So moving on to Alpha, what we are focusing on is improving the learner experience, the researcher experience, and really amplifying our visibility so that we get more traffic on the platform. So we have a library. You might be thinking like, what are we offering to the students? And from multiple rounds of user testing, what we have identified that they wanted two main things. One is extrinsic incentives like gifts and prizes, and the other was targeted feedback at the end of their participation within a study. So we are offering these two incentives at this time. And like with the incentivization, we have like budget allocation for prize giveaways at the end of like every study cycle. Like each semester is split into different cycles, and we have incentives and prizes for participation for each cycle so that we have consistent traffic. So this is what our MVP looked like before. As you can tell, it's very bare bones. And from like, here is our alpha version. You know, we had multiple rounds of conversations with our prospective end users, and we identified that they wanted to have a clear sense of the value proposition, as well as like some fun elements to engage them with the platform. So we kind of worked off of both of those. So we have these illustrations on the dashboard, but when they get to the study, it's much more like, it's less noisy, that interface. We are also working towards improving our homepage on Kinetic. Here's just an example, and I'll have links to those available for you to look at. So because I want to be respectful of time, key things I want to highlight is that we are working with a forum of researchers who are kind of our starting points, and we have Danielle here, and we're really grateful to have her on the panel as well. And they'll be like our starting point for researcher recruitment, and we want to iterate and get their feedback as we improve the researcher experience on the platform. But obviously, come talk to us, and we will make sure that we have room to make your study feasible on the platform. So just to give you an update, these are some of the student characteristic measures that we have on the platform so far. These are the number of responses that we have had. Like, this is a week or so old, and we are progressively adding more measures to make it a very comprehensive library of measures. Okay, so just so that you have a sense of the experience, you know, here I am on an OpenStax biology textbook, and you see the call to action here. When you click on Explore Kinetic, it opens up the home page. And if you're logged in, you see this button, and you can click to see your dashboard. As a researcher, this is what you'll see. Now, this is very bare bones, as you can tell. Like, we totally focused on all our resources on the learner side of things, but it is enough to get y'all going and get your studies published. So when you click on a specific study, you have elements that you need to fill out. So you have a short title that will be visible to the participants, and then you have another title, which is going to be meaningful for you. And then you add in all the meta information about the study in here. I want to switch gears real quickly because, you know, and at the end, once you're done with filling out all the parameters, you can preview your study, and it pops up the Qualtrics page. So you can see what your study will look like to the end users. So I'm gonna really quickly close off with the alpha design for the learner experience. So this is what the learners are going to see. They see the rewards bars, they see the milestones for the prize giveaways for every semester, and we refresh every semester. And we have like different studies that are highlighted for the participants. This is our staging environment, so you see the same illustration, but we want to thematically tie the illustrations to the study at hand. And we have like different categorization of the studies to make it just easier for the students to navigate based on. So I'm going to pause because I think I'm over my time.